Hi, welcome to Hot Literati. Hot Literati is a collective of hot, cool, well-read people. My name is Halo. I'm happy you're here. So today is day 2 of reading Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. If you have the reading guide, which is available for purchase on our website, then you'll have like the reading schedule that's broken down into these lovely sections so you can read it in 14 days. Now I'm going to go through and give you some of my thoughts, my annotations on day 2 of the reading, as if we are in a cute little book club together. So day 2 is when the woman herself, Anna, arrives. I want to use the word assuage is the situation. I never know how to pronounce that. Yeah, she like fixes everything with Stiva and Daria, right? And but then we get this like tense moment between her and Vronsky and chemistry. That's when we're like, oh, and you sort of really know what's going on after that, right? So I'm gonna walk you through specific sections that really stuck out to me, and then if there are any that stuck out to you, like, would love to hear. The guide has like prompts, like journaling, the reading companion, that's the phrase, reading companion. They have journaling prompts, opportunities for you to post, tag us so we can repost it. But also if you have thoughts on Anna Karenina, I would love for this comment section to be like Anna Karenina thoughts, like a book club itself. So the first section that really stuck out to me is like orient myself in the page, right? We are with, I think, Vronsky as, no. This is, Levin. When Levin is, like, really in love with Kitty. And his, like, he's such a lover. And the way he describes his affection for her is so sweet. Like, I'm going to read this quote that I annotated. He knew she was there by the joy and fear that overwhelmed his heart. She stood at the other end of the rank, talking to a lady. There seemed to be nothing very special in her dress nor in her pose, but for Levin, she was as easy to recognize in that crowd as a rose among nettles. Everything was lit up by her. She was the smile that brightened everything around. Can I really step down there on the ice and go over to her, he thought. The place where she stood seemed to him unapproachably holy, and there was a moment when he almost went away. He was so filled with awe. Making an effort, he reasoned that all sorts of people were walking near her, and that he might have to come skate there himself. He stepped down, trying not to look long at her, as if she were the sun, yet he saw her like the sun, even without looking. Like, and I hope you never respond to a text that's WYD ever again. I'm kidding. But like, his description of this man having a crush is so pure. So pure. Like, she is the sun, she's everything to him, and he always knows where she is, but he's like trying not to look because he's like bashful. I feel like this whenever I have a crush. I think like it's so cute. So cute. But I think it also, not to like ruin it, but in my opinion, the characterization of Levin, you know, he's like looking for faith, looking for the meaning of life. And I think he's like, you could maybe argue he's placing it into like other people or like work and these things. Like he kind of makes like Kitty the meaning of life for a bit, but also like that's not sustainable. But I love that section. I think it's so sweet. So this is when Stiva and Levin are dining together, which food and literature in general is really interesting. Like, I want to do a book club. I was working on book club kits for a while, so if that's a product you're interested in, please let me know. But I would love to, once I have like my own space more, because living in New York, I think, is just, you know, tough. Apartment, rent, whatever. But I would love in my future to host like really elaborate book clubs with food that shows up in the work itself, because it's so interesting. Like, I think your brain, you imagine the taste of these things as you're reading, and it makes for like a really rich experience. And the reading companion has a celebratory recipe because I think it's so fun, like food, community, literature. So they're dining out, And they're just like, I underlined like a lot of the different foods. He orders like a bunch of oysters to begin, and then he asks for, he says, "Say what you like, it is one of life's enjoyments," says Stepan Arkadyevich. "Well then, my good man, bring us 2. No, make it 3 dozen oysters, vegetable soup, printanière," there's like a little bit of French in here, the Tartar picked up, but Stepan Arkadyevich evidently did not want to give him the pleasure of naming the dishes in French. "Vegetable soup, you know, then turbot with thick sauce, then roast beef, but mind it's good, and why not capon? Well, and some stewed fruit." So, I mean, I think, I know people that dine like this, like they have really like decadent taste, and when they sit down they want it to be like a whole show and like order a lot of things, which I think really characterizes him well, because Levin is, you know, just a bit more simple, but like Stiva, he wants to sit down and just like dine and have it be really like decadent and slow and luxurious, or even like him not wanting the person to say the words in French, I think is really interesting, where like he's in his element here and he wants to like have control of the situation and make everything like cool and like blasé. So I think it's like fun character work, and it's always interesting to see like dinner scenes in literature. Okay, so a little bit later, they're still together, Levin and Stiva. I underlined "My good man served the soup, her grand manner." They're talking about the Sherbatskys. "The Sherbatskys kept asking me about you, as if I should know. I know only one thing. You always do what nobody else does." "Yes," Levin said slowly and with agitation. "You're right, I am wild, only my wildness isn't in my leaving, but in my coming now. I've come now." "Oh, what a lucky man you are," Stepan Arkadyevich picked up, looking into Levin's eyes. "Why?" "Bold steeds, I can tell by their something or other thighs, and young men in love by the look in their eyes," declaimed Stepan Arkadyevich. "You've got everything before you." So a lot going on here, right? I really like "something or other thighs." I think "something or other," it's just a phrase I hadn't really heard before, and I don't want to, I wish I knew what it was like pre-translation, but and it's repeated a bit later, I think, too. But also this sentiment of like Levin always does what nobody else does. The desire to be different is something I've been thinking about in people and characters in my own brain. When I read recently, I finished it when I was traveling, The Architecture of Happiness by Alain de Botton, and he talks about this period in architectural history when everyone's like building these houses the same way, and then there's like one random guy who's like, "No, my house is going to be different." So that desire to do something in a different way is something I'm really curious about in people. Maybe in the context of creativity, but also in the context of just like what you want out of your life. Yeah, moving a bit because I could talk about that for a long time. So a bit later, still Stiva and Levin. "Excuse me, but I decidedly do not understand how just as I don't understand how I could pass by a bakery as full as I am now and steal a sweet roll." Stepan Arkadyevич's eyes shone more than usual. "Why not? Sometimes a sweet roll is so fragrant, I don't know why I said it like that, fragrant, that you can't help yourself." So this is them like talking about women, essentially. It's the metaphor of like baked goods. And Stiva clearly, you know, has cheated, and he has like these really hedonistic tastes. And he's saying, like, I don't know, like, I have a wife, I have kids, but, like, if I see a beautiful woman, where the reading companion talks about the historical context a bit more, but it was really normalized for men in, like, high Russian society like this to have affairs, and, like, some of the women, too, but, oh, I don't want to spoil anything. Okay, yeah. So that's kind of the context for that, whereas Levin, this, like, really modest guy, you know, he's, like, it doesn't even occur to him, which I think is like really sweet. Again, he's just so sweet, like such a sweet character. Okay, I'm gonna see if there was anything else that I really liked in this section. Oh, I did some writing. Okay, so now this is a section where, I mean, this is my chapter, like 16, but it's talking about Vronsky and Kitty, because at this point, like, Kitty's being courted by both Levin and Vronsky, and there's this paragraph kind of talking about his relationship with her, where it says, at balls he danced mostly with her, he visited their house, he said to her the things that are usually said in society, all sorts of nonsense, but nonsense which he unwittingly endowed with a special meaning for her, though he said nothing to her that he could not have said before everybody. He felt that she was growing increasingly dependent on him, and the more he felt it, the more pleasant it was for him, and his feeling for her grew more tender. He did not know that his behavior towards Kitty had a specific name, that it was the luring of a young lady without the intention of marriage, and that this luring was one of the bad actions common among brilliant young men such as himself. It seemed to him that he was the first to discover this pleasure, and he enjoyed his discovery. So it goes on to talk about kind of her family and like how their perception of him courting her. And I wrote that I thought this was really great tension, and again, like really brilliant character work on Tolstoy's part, because it's easy, I think, to write Vronsky off as this like playboy, like, oh, he's talking to her, he's courting her, and he's not going to marry her. But I think by creating this moment where you get sort of some interiority to Vronsky, and he's like just as thrilled with like courting her as she is, but he literally doesn't understand that typically this is done with the intention of marriage. Like, everyone feels really real, because I always go back to this quote in the Brothers Karamazov where everybody thinks they're sort of like doing the right thing given their circumstances, their experiences, their mind, their life. And I think that's how you make like really real characters, is like everybody's flawed, you know, everyone is flawed, and everyone's sort of like doing their best. And I think that that is drawn out like really, really well in this section. Skipping ahead a bit, this is my chapter 17. Home, replied Vronsky, I confess, I felt so pleasant last night after the Sherbatskys that I didn't want to go anywhere. Bold steeds I can tell by their something or other thighs, and young men in love by the look in their eyes, declaimed Stepan Arkadyevich, exactly as he had done to Levin. I really want to sit with this more. I don't know what it means to me. I would love to know what it means to other people. But there's also, I feel like, the theme of the like horses throughout that I don't think I've properly sat with or like excavated in my own reading of it. And then I also wrote, they're talking about another character. He's a very remarkable man, a bit conservative, but a nice man, oh gosh. Maybe they're talking about Anna Karenina's husband. Yeah. And what I had written was, I think Tolstoy is also quite good at like introducing characters before they're actually like present in the story through like this high society gossip. Yeah, I really like the character work a lot in this book. Okay, those were all my notes from day 2 of reading Anna Karenina. I'm really excited to see what you guys think of the book, and yeah, thank you again for watching. Bye!